Hi. I'd like to talk a bit about going underground. Not the fantastic song by The Jam, but really going underground. Really moving there, living there, building houses there, and blend in with the environment. Obviously, as you know, it's not, and as the presenter said, it's not a new phenomenon. It's something that we did from the right from the start when people first settled. It's a kind of a return to the womb. It's where we come from. And even today, 20 million people in China in the desert live underground, and we all know Cappadocia and Turkey as an example of a historical underground feature. To transform that to a contemporary underground housing, we need a lot of creativity, and that's something that's there because housing has changed a lot through the years. We don't live there just to protect ourselves from climate and wild animals. Malcolm Wells was an American architect who drew this in the 60s and had his own philosophy and approach to stimulate underground living again these days. He was very visionary in that sense. This is another sketch by him where he actually says that first of all we need a mentality switch. We need to move away from image, from look, from exterior, from style, and go to a humble, put that to a humble background, and have more modesty, let nature take over. Once we make that click in our mind, we can start building and put it to practice after obviously doing a lot of investigation to put that basic dwelling into a modern, comfortable house. And then depending on the situation, different typologies of houses were created in modern underground houses, depending on the site where you build, on the climate, on the availability of materials, on climatic conditions, and so on. Here are a couple of slides that are basic understandings that you need before you start building underground. I'm not going to go into detail about them, they're quite technical, but on the other hand, there are things that animals have been doing forever. They go about thermal slowness, about seasonal changes and climatic things. And the earth mass there is something that we should introduce into these modern underground houses and combine them with passive solar heating, trombe walls, air tightness, and those things that are really getting into housing now again, but they are quite clear and obvious in underground houses. They are there from themselves, and we are now forcing them into our above-ground houses. After we made all these that research, we can start putting these things into actual drawings, start designing. The creative process can start with drawings like these. Most of the time, underground houses are drawn by sections, not in plans, but in sections. It's actually carving away and not putting together. Another important thing while you're designing is to always be aware of the psychological side to it. People are not, or have lost their tendency to go underground. It's a big step now, so that's important. And the previous slide showed you that an entrance, for example, is very important. Other things are also very important in that to make you feel comfortable, and those are lights, views, things that you, on the first hand, would maybe think that are not available underground, but they are. Here you can see some good examples of not only blending into the landscape, like in the slope here, but also still having lots of light and view in your underground house. This drawing here illustrates the different important things in a site selection when you choose to or decide to build underground. A lot of things like the water table, topography, soil conditions, access, social conditions, view are very important when you make that decision. And although I mentioned the 60s as the start of a revival of underground houses, going back to the basics, it's only now that the ecological consciousness has going to a peak again, that it's green roofing and earth covering is back interesting. Here are some nice examples of a snow-covered and earth-covered house, a dune house, and below the soft and hairy house in Japan by Yoshida and Findlay. If we take the housing a little bit further, which is not my domain, but we can go to the urban context and go further than housing only, and then more advantages of going underground will appear to the surface, like civil protection, some traffic advantages, noise protection, and so on. Here is a more rural context where aesthetics reasons are maybe a reason to go underground, protection of the existing green, privacy, wind protection, use of slopes, lower maintenance, all of that. And this is the last slide already. This is really going fast. And I'd like to show you here a design that I made for a plot right here in Hasselt for an underground house. It's not built yet, but I'm very eager and I can't wait to do it. And I hope after this presentation that you also are a bit more into it, and then maybe one day I can show you my house.